This is Anthony with VR 365. What is going on? Today is Tuesday. It is July 2nd, and I am joined by Steve Drumheller of Conquer Reality, YouTube's newest mega channel, newest VR. So. Hey, you're really going for it there with the green screen, like on the floor as well, like all in on the green screen thing.
Kind of went all out. That edge there is wrinkled, but that's off the camera anyway, so it's okay.
No, that's what I need to do. I really do need to do that, and I want to try to do it over in that corner. But I have a lot of junk that's over in that corner that you can't see that's on the ground. Stuff I probably need to like donate to a thrift store or something, and clean that up. And then I want to make that whole corner just a green the Green Hornet, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's amazing. I have 2 full walls of green and just stapled it to the wall. So.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the way to do it. If you're going to do like a Let's Play or something like that, where you're going to put yourself in the game. I believe that's the best way to do it, where you're 100%. Because I don't know. I see these different videos out there where somebody has a little, they have a rectangle in the corner and it's just their room or whatever. Yeah. And I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me. I have a pet peeve about that. But it's weird because I tried to do green screens like a million years ago, right? And I literally spent 2 weeks banging away trying to get this, and I think the problem is I never had the right kind of lighting, and so I was always using what I did was I went to like Home Depot and I got all these shop lights. Yeah. See, I followed there was a YouTube guide where like how to do green screen for like $100 or something was basically the guide, right? And the guy was like, you go to Home Depot, you get these shop lights, you buy these very specific bulbs, and you just have 4 of them on one side and 4 of them on the other, and you just angle them the whole video, it looked great. It was crystal clear. It was perfect. So they didn't have those exact bulbs, but they had ones very similar, and I went through all this stuff, and I'm adding more lights, and I don't know, maybe it was like my video editing software. It could have been a million things, but it was like literally impossible for me to green screen. It was crazy.
Yeah, this wasn't bad. This was Amazon. It came with 2 huge sheets and then 3 huge lights that have 4 bulbs in each one. It's like $110. And then it came with a frame, but I just got rid of the frame and stapled it to the wall, and then I got the mats on the floor, and it seems to work good. So,
so those are like those mats, like those interlocking mats.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yep. I think
I didn't know that.
Cass and Cherry had them. That's where I saw them first. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they made them in that color. That's a good idea, right?
Yeah, it's a perfect color. And then these are the lights.
Oh, and, yeah.
Pretty good size, and I came with 3 of those. And it works pretty well. So hopefully this week I'll actually post something with that in it. But yeah.
Have you done any tests where you just saw what you look like on a background?
Yeah, actually I only posted 2 videos, but my last video of the unboxing, I just had a static like outer space image behind me. But yeah, it worked pretty good. I used Premiere Pro, and it just basically slid a picture behind me, and it worked perfect. So
Sweet. Okay, I just popped out chat. Man, so Twitch is weird, right? So it wasn't showing chat for a long time. Then it started showing chat finally. But then I was like, okay, well, let me pop it out so I can see it better and make it bigger. And then now it's completely blank. It's like you got to wait, and then it like reloads eventually or something.
Yeah, I was on the same problem. So
okay, whatever. I just eventually it'll be back, hopefully. But what we could do really quick. So what I was thinking we would do today, guys, basically, here's the strategy. The strategy is, okay, now I'm starting to see chat. Okay, chat's starting to slowly show up now, so that's good. But basically, the strategy for tonight's episode is there really isn't much news going on, and thank goodness I was able to get a hold of Steve, and it's late for him. He's back east, so it's like 10:36 p.m. But I thought, hey, Steve, maybe you would like to do a little late night hype. Jump on here, and there's not much news, so a lifesaver, really. I need to have like 20 people on the ready.
Speed dial.
Yeah, exactly. Where I could just grab somebody and make it happen. So what I thought we could do, though, before we get into like any kind of an interview type of a thing, is what we could do first is check out and see if there are any news stories. And there really isn't too much major going on, but let's go ahead and check out. Let me see. Let's bounce over to the webinar and hopefully. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that looks okay. Okay, so this is Upload VR. And do you guys remember yesterday the Twitch message that, I mean, the tweet that they had
That
where,
pissed me off.
yeah, so it's like, take the blue pill, red pill, or whatever. We're like, yeah, Samsung. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
a Samsung headset. Or it's the Cosmos, the final statistics, you know, the
Or
price,
Matrix
the date.
VR game.
Yeah, something incredible. And it turned out to be nothing. Well, it was going to be a website update, but I guess they had problems with it, so they backed out of it. So it was much ado about nothing. But yeah, so I'm on Upload VR right now, and it's saying that Iron Man VR is set for some new reveals at San Diego Comic-Con. What do you think about, so have you seen any of the like Iron Man VR footage and stuff that's out there? What do you think about this
Yeah,
upcoming
I
game?
mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it just like everything else. They give you these little snippets and teasers, and unfortunately, Marvel VR games have not really stood up very well. So, cautiously optimistic that this could be pretty cool. It seems like everything is hyped way too much, from Upload VR's ridiculous Twitter thing and the god awful mess with the oh god, my brain just stopped. The headset, the
The
yes,
Cosmos
thank you.
problems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was looking at Iron Man. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, the Cosmos hype, and it just seems like everything is hyped way too much. So it makes me a little nervous that they're saying, they're going to reveal something at Comic Con. I hope it's good, because I'm
Well,
a Marvel fan. So
yeah, the impressions when they like when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, "Oh, that kind of looks boring and lame," you know.
yeah,
But then there were all these hands-on impressions, and people that tried it were like, "I was amazed at how good it was." You know, a lot of people that tried it were like really surprised by it. So this game right now is like if we went to VR game rankings, this is the second most wanted PlayStation VR game that is still floating out there. The most wanted is No Man's Sky, which we
yeah.
still don't have a date for that, by the way. And we are in, it is July 2nd.
Ugh.
Actually, let me ask you about that. No Man's Sky, are you surprised in any way that, still no info? Although I'm not surprised.
No, I mean, I think everybody's so anxious, like I said, with trying to hype things up, and I think developers get ahead of themselves. Like, look at Boneworks too. I mean, Boneworks has been, hyped with, Node. They've been showing all these videos and everything, and you'd assume it would be launched with or released with, the Index, and we've got nothing. We've no Node videos, no nothing, and same thing with No Man's Sky. I think, I don't know, maybe they're having issues, or maybe they're just not done with it yet, and that's why we're not hearing. Back to the whole thing where I think people are trying to get out ahead of everybody else, and now is a crazy time for VR, and so I don't know. I feel like people need to take a step back or a deep breath before they throw these little tidbits at us, because we're not hearing anything, and so it's
Well, you know
frustrating.
what? No Man's Sky. What was I going to say about it? Oh, Hello Games. So the developer of No Man's Sky,
Yeah,
like they're known for like taking forever. Like they're kind of almost on Valve time. Like they'll be like, "Yeah, we've got a major update coming, and it's going to come in January," and then it ends up coming in like May. Like they're kind
yeah,
of known for that. So, but
yeah,
I mean, we know this is summertime. Like it's supposed to come sometime this summer, and I think actually, like if you talk to like the hardest No Man's Sky insiders, like they'll
yeah,
tell you that they're not expecting it until like late August. So I
yeah.
don't think we should be shocked if we don't get No Man's Sky until late August. So there's that. But let me see what what some people are saying over there in chat. So we have Slay Blaze in chat. We've got Mame Fan. We've got Floydian777, which is Frank Zappa, and he says, I actually figured out Twitch. Not bad for a dinosaur.
Nice.
We got Mosiak Brandon. Please break down the Pistol Whip trailer. Is there a new Pistol Whip trailer? And then we've got a Nifty Retro Gamer coming from Australia. We've got, what is that? Recycled something? That looks kind of weird. And the VR Mang is in the building as well. Zayla Maru just showed up. Cement Dog 22. So we've got a number. Okay, Pepsi. It almost looks like Pepsi CL 3D. No, it's basically recycled from YouTube. See, yeah, unfortunately, see a lot of YouTube people that hop over here, their names are taken.
I
So
know
they
that
need to do
sucks.
like their name, but then just add like a couple digits on the end of it or something. But I don't know. Maybe there's so many people that have taken so many names on Twitch that it's hard to get anything.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we
Yeah.
do have a few people floating over there in chat. Also here on VR, we have Waltz of the Wizard is getting remastered and expanded for Index and more. Have you ever played Waltz of the Wizard?
No,
It's
I
it's
haven't
okay,
actually.
so it's a free thing. See, this is one of these things where if you're relatively new to VR, you probably don't know anything about it. But if you had like a Vive in 2016, you would know all about Waltz of the Wizard and you would probably have played it like 15 different times. It's a free experience where you're kind of basically doing like Harry Potter type stuff,
Hmm.
and it's actually a really cool experience. It's absolutely worth doing. Like Waltz of the Wizard is absolutely worth doing, and they're doing this extended edition on July 10th. Now, my question is this? Yeah, okay. So they're charging money. See, I didn't know if this is going to be free or not. So I'm looking at this article here, and it says with all the new editions, the extended edition won't be free. It will cost $10, though Alden is planning a heavy launch window discount of 40%, so about $6. This version of the app will still support other headsets like Rift, Vive, and Windows VR, but obviously won't include the. So it's going to have some like advanced finger tracking, and you basically are really using your hands. So like the finger tracking, the enhances that they're going to do, I should probably grab this trailer, but the advances that they're going to do with like the finger tracking and stuff, probably going to look really good, and it's probably going to
That's
work really
cool.
good. But I highly recommend, if you have not done Waltz of the Wizard ever, it's pretty much like a mandatory thing you should probably do. So speaking of the headsets, let's go back over to our little standard guest setup here. And what I'll ask you is one thing we haven't even covered is like what are your different VR headsets? Like what was your first VR headset? All of that. Like I don't
Sure.
even know. I know that you recently got a Valve Index, but like other than that, I'm not really sure. So why don't you just tell me like the first VR thing you purchased?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I go way back. So I'm 41 years old, and I was a big PC gamer. I remember, getting my first Zyzan computer way back. God, I must have been 10 or 9 or whatever. And then I remember TI Basic and putting audio cassettes in to record programs and stuff. So I've always been kind of like that guy. I was always like the geeky gamer and flat gamer and just loved it. So um, virtual reality was something that I followed for a while, and there obviously wasn't anything coming out. But then the virtual IO goggles came out, and those things I actually have them behind me in a drawer. But there's two. It's not my first video, but it's two little screens. Thing was so uncomfortable, and I had a pretty decent computer. I don't even remember. It was like a 486 DX something. It was at the time it was the best thing ever, and
So,
um,
so you screwed around with some of that weird, like, see, I would see advertisements for that weird stuff in like PC Gamer magazine or magazines like that, and I
yep.
always thought to myself, I wonder what weirdo actually buys these things.
This guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was fun. It was ridiculously difficult to get up and running, and PCs back then were a nightmare to begin with. I mean, nothing ever worked right out of the box, and the internet was not even a thing. So, yeah, but that was my very first experience, and it was all kind of like Pixel Rift almost. Like it was just very block or hexagonal type stuff, and but it was fun, it was cool. And then a couple years, so I got that in like 95, so I was like a sophomore junior in high school or whatever. And definitely big with all the girls. I got the first virtual reality headset, so they were slamming down my door. But then I tried the experience at Epcot in Disney World. They had a thing called Innoventions, where they had all new products, smart home stuff. And again, way back then, this is 96, 97. smart home back then was, a motion sensor that turned the light on. It was amazing. But they did have a virtual reality experience, and the way it worked initially was they had like different times throughout the day. You'd have to get sign up, and they'd pick people like almost like a game show out of the crowd to actually participate. They had like 3 or 4 units set up, and then the rest of the people would just watch as they explain what this was. And I remember, some of the things way back then, and watching some old videos. They'd say, behind that wall over there, we have the world's most powerful computers, fills the entire room, and it's what it takes to run this. And, this experience was cool, especially in 97, but it was an Aladdin experience. You're flying in a magic carpet. And
I think I've seen a video of that.
Yeah, it was in my intro video, but a little snippet of it. But yeah, you basically straddle this like motorcycle looking thing, and this giant headset came down. It was literally like sticking out this far, horrible graphics. But again, it was cool, and it really, when you try something like that, when nothing like it ever existed, and especially with the powerful computers that they had, it just, from that point forward, it was like every little thing, like the Sega VR and Jaguar VR that they were gonna do, and none of that stuff ever came out. And then there'd be these little mom and pop companies that would have headsets for like $5,000, and you needed computers that were just way out of reach for anybody. And I was middle class, so it wasn't like I can just get whatever I wanted.
Was there a point where like where it kind of died out, and you was there ever a point where it completely went into hibernation for you until like 2010 or something?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's
so
exactly
when did it first go into hibernation for you? Right around that time, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, so there really wasn't much other than the Disney experience, which they eventually put into Disney Quest, which was an actual like 5-story arcade in Florida. And then they had all kinds of VR stuff. They had lightsaber stuff there, and I might put that in another video down the road. So that was really the only way to do it, other than that ridiculously stupid, the IO goggles, which, after a couple of games that came out, nobody supported it. There was nothing else. So every once in a while I'd go in there. But really what got me back into it, I had back surgery, and I was just watching YouTube videos in 2015, I think it was. And Markiplier, I'm sure most know who that is, was playing on the DK1 or DK2, and it was hysterical. I mean, it was all horror jump scares, and he's a funny guy to begin with. So, I started watching that, and then I started following Oculus and, Palmer Luckey, and I remember watching the videos of, I don't know if it was his grandmother or whatever, sitting at the kitchen table, doing the Tuscany experience, and it was just, from that point forward, I just followed it all along. I got the DK2, so that, I did get the Virtual Boy, so, I don't know if that counts, because that thing was garbage, but I got that back in the day. And then Gear VR, I guess, would be the next headset, or DK2 or Gear VR. I'm trying to think which one. It must have been DK2 that came out first, right? So I got those right around the same time, I think. And then so after DK2, then I got PSVR, the Oculus Rift, Oculus Go. I never got the Vive. I didn't have the space for it. The room I'm in now was not like this at the time. I had to do a little bargaining with the wife, and now this is my room. So I didn't get that because I didn't have the space for it. But so yeah, I got the Rift, the Go, obviously the Quest. Now
did you get the Rift? Which one did you get first, Rift or PlayStation VR?
Oh man, PSVR I got first.
Yeah.
And I love PSVR. I still love it. I mean, I got it behind. Well, we can't lean back there, but yeah. But that's just such a pain in the ass to set up. And I have 2 kids and married, and I had it set up in my living room. So anytime I wanted to do it, I had to like move everything, and so I used it quite a bit. But it was just so inconvenient, and I couldn't get my kids into it. They were pretty young. They really weren't into it. So it was just constantly disconnecting and everything. But so DK2 I got, but I only had a Mac. I worked for Apple as a manager at an Apple store, so the only thing I had was a Mac, so I had to use Parallels to get that to work. So it was just always a pain in the ass, but I always was interested, never lost interest in it. And then from PSVR and the Rift into now, it's just obviously exploded in the last 3 years. So so now I've got I've got the PSVR, Rift S, Oculus Go, Quest, Index.
Oh right. Oh, so you grabbed a Quest as well. Damn. So you've spent quite a bit of money this year.
Yeah, not to go into crazy, boring personal details, but I had some stock from working at Apple, and I don't have that stock anymore, but I have all this
Yeah.
cool stuff. So
Yeah, because I mean, if you picked up a Rift S, a Valve Index, you don't have a Reaver, but you have just about pretty much everything else, right?
and I
I
had to
mean, you
get a new
grabbed a
PC.
Quest too,
So
yeah.
yeah.
So what
Yeah.
about like the Quest? Like, is that honeymoon over for you,
It's
or did
not.
you ever get into the Quest? Like, cause see, it's crazy, man. Real quick, I'll just say, like, the Oculus Quest for me, I think I said this basically yesterday or on one of the other shows. It's really it's straight up my daily driver. And I don't know if it's because there isn't a big PC VR game right now, and maybe that's like part of it, because there isn't
Yeah.
like something like calling my name. There isn't like an Asgard's Wrath or a
Right.
Stormland, or,
Right. Right.
and I mean, there isn't even like Free Diver or something that's kind of new. Like, it's been a little bit of a drought here for a minute. And
Yeah.
so when I come into this room, and my Rift is always there, my PlayStation VR is there, and my Quest is over there, and it just, I can pick up my Quest, I can put it on my head, and then a lot of times I have it in just like, startup mode where I didn't even shut it down completely, and it like,
Hmm.
bam, it just pops immediately on. And you know what's cool about it too is like, it'll immediately show my room real quick. Like when you're grabbing the control, like that's a very smart way they do it, where the
Yeah.
instant you put it on, they're showing your real room. And then
Hmm.
like you can actually grab your controllers, and then you step into your play space, or and then the play space pops in. And I think everybody should do that going forward. But yeah, right now I'm playing Journey of the Gods. That's kind of like my go-to game right now. But
Yeah.
it's
It's
hard,
just
dude. I'm stuck in
yeah.
that game.
Yeah, and and so to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely not, the honeymoon period is definitely not over. I mean, having the Index and the Rift S, there are obviously some different experiences, and having the ability to do it full room. But my kids now I have two daughters, they're 13 and 11, and they just love the Quest just because it's so easy. They pop it on. Beat Saber. Yeah, the other day or yesterday, I put them in Richie's Plank experience, and got the plank, got the fan, got the whole thing going, and they
Oh,
both
do
afraid
you
of
have like
heights.
a 2x4? Like a.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's over there. It's a looks like a plank. I
okay.
found it in my garage. It's like, I don't know, like
Do they give you
8 inches.
instructions for like what to buy or whatever?
No, no,
Uh, uh,
it was in my garage, and I don't know why we had it, but it's a perfect size, a little short
okay.
maybe. It's like maybe 6 feet long. But yeah, I mean, it's so easy to set up, and it's so realistic, and you put it on this squishy floor, and it really feels kind of like you're on it, and they just absolutely love it. And then once they get over the fear of it, and the spiders and everything, then they love the flying around as the rockets on your hands, and they love that. So
Did you ever play that on the Rift version?
I did at a VR arcade. I never
Oh,
purchased it myself, because it's a fun thing, but
yeah.
it's expensive for kind of a short experience. But there's a couple of VR arcades in Connecticut near where I live, and I did it there. That was like one of the first experiences, I think, before I purchased it, was the plank experience, and that it's impressive. I mean, it's not like the graphics aren't like over the top, but it's the way they put that together. There's such a sense of the height and everything. It's great.
Yeah,
And watching
when
other people.
when I first got into VR, I had a major fear of heights. And like I would be in different VR things, and I would be like, "Oh shit." Like it would really hit me, and like,
Yeah.
"Oh, check this out." Okay, so at the launch of the Vive, I mean, I know you didn't get a Vive right away, but like when the Vive launched, one of the big games that it had right at launch was Fantastic Contraption. Do you remember that game that
Yeah.
was like all
Yeah. Yeah.
green and everything?
Yep.
And at the very beginning of that game, you're like 3,000 feet. I mean, I don't know. You're like miles up in the sky, right? You're just
Mhm.
way up in the sky, and you're on this little green area of. It's like a little, like almost like a little thing from like a miniature golf course, and it's really small. I mean, it's like 7 feet by 4 feet or something, basically, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm standing on this thing, and it scared me. Like I literally had to sit down on the ground. I
Yeah.
would sit down on the ground, and I would try to get in the very middle of it, because otherwise I'd feel like I was going to fall off the edge. Like, but
Yeah.
that was just like the first maybe 3 weeks I had VR,
Yeah.
and
Once you
then
get used to it. Yeah.
yeah. Did you
But
ever
yeah, I
get
mean, the
that?
sense. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have like a fear of heights generally. I mean, it gets you butterflies in your stomach and stuff. But But yeah, absolutely, I had that. I'm trying to think. I mean, Richie's Plank really, took my breath away, and I played Windlands. I think that might have been at like the Microsoft store or something. And that again, that just the feeling of that. It's just the way that's put together is incredible. So yeah, but you're right though. After a while, you kind of it's not that it's disappointing, but it's almost like it kind of goes away. And I guess it's good because then maybe you wouldn't play certain games, but that initial time, like when my kids went into it for the first time, I'm recording it because it's just a real breathtaking experience. I mean, nothing else in the world can give you that experience other than being on a tall building and walking on a plank, which is not advised. So
I think there's going to be a day, man, where like I think that experience will come back. I think that fear will come back, but like the graphics got to get way the f better. But like
yeah,
I
yeah.
think eventually when the graphics get way better, like, and then also, if you did that experience, imagine if you got a plank but you like raised it off of the ground like
Yeah,
by like a foot and a half or
that's
so,
dangerous.
and you make people do it barefoot, you know. And
Well,
then if
people
they
fall
had
over even
and
without a
if,
plank.
but if they had tracking, like full body tracking where you really saw your feet, and
Yeah.
if you're, okay, see, let's talk about this for a second. But wait, before we do that, I just wanted to mention somebody in chat. Okay, so Uber Wolfie says, Anthony, I've been around for a while, but donated under my real name. Had never heard about Twitch. You're bringing customers to this site. Okay, I just wanted to say thank you to anybody that is like donated via like PayPal or Patreon or anything like that, because what I want to say real quick is I haven't checked those accounts in like a couple of days. So like if anybody's donated anything in the last 2 days and they're like, dude, why aren't you announced, like why aren't you like telling anybody? I'll tell people, don't worry about it. I will cover everybody that donates. I will absolutely mention your name. I just haven't. I've been, working like these 8-hour shifts, and I just haven't checked it. So, but I absolutely appreciate any and all donations, including yours, Steve,
It's
as a
all good.
Patreon supporter. I definitely appreciate that. Okay, so here's the topic I want to ask you though. Since we're on this discussion, and I'm thinking about Richie's plank experience with my freaking feet there, right? Okay,
Yeah.
but here's what I want to see though. I want to see my feet, not general feet. I want to see my feet. So what I want, like, here's ultimately what I want. I almost want to, I guess I wouldn't want to be naked, but I want to go to like some Microsoft store. No, I
Nobody
want
would
to be
want that.
scanned. I want to be scanned. So like every little scar that I have, like on my thumb, I got like this scar that's on my thumb. I got a scar that, I got this little scar that's over here, different little scars or whatever. Like I want all of that scanned in so that if I'm looking down at my feet, like the toenail would look like my toenail, and because, no, I'm not saying that just for the hell of it. I think the immersion would be exponential if like you see your actual all your scars and everything, and they could do it high res enough where just in an experience, it'd be like, oh shit, I'm in the game.
It'll get there. I mean, it's just everything is just a matter of time. I mean, you look at that new Facebook, facial tracking and the expressions and stuff. I mean, that's a step in that direction. There's various things out there where you put trackers on your feet and everything like that, and there's suits you could put on. B Haptics has some stuff, with sensory type things, but it's all a matter of time. I mean, you also look at things like movies like Lord of the Rings and Gollum and all that motion capture stuff. I mean, eventually it's gonna come to the consumer. I think it's just a matter of how long it's gonna take to get the price to where it's makes sense. But you're right. I mean, I think the first thing we'll probably see is more of the facial type stuff, and then we might see maybe you put a suit on or something like a jumpsuit type thing, so they don't have to
What?
get into
Okay,
the scars and
wait. Let me just one thing I thought of real quick, and I'll run it by you really quick. Okay,
sure.
you're saying we gotta wait. We gotta wait. We gotta wait for this new technology. Okay, what if I made this argument? Couldn't a developer, and I'm imagining some indie developer could do this, right? Okay, so we have plenty of VR games. We have plenty of VR games where you have your hands in the game, you have your wrist in the game, and you have your forearm in the game. And inverse kinematics, right, where like you're moving your wrists around and it's tracking it perfect, and
Right.
maybe not all the way to your elbow, but like the first 7 inches or so of your arm, that's tracked accurately as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's connected to your wrist, and they can do your wrist and they can do your hand. We've seen that in plenty of games. Like Transpose does it perfectly.
Right.
Lone Echo does it perfectly. Okay, now let me ask you this. Would this be impossible, Steve? Like, okay, you got your green screen back there. You take a picture of your arm. There's some kind of software, like you take pictures of your hands, you take pictures of your arms, and then you drag and drop those pictures into some kind of online web thing where you're moving your scar of your hand over into basically generally the right spot. You have your freaking arm. Like, this could be in games now. Why are we waiting? Somebody, some industrial dev out there that, okay, because I know this sounds crazy, but do you guys remember, and you might remember this, Steve, there's been some video games out there, like EA has done this, where you could put your face in the game, and they would be like, okay, have your face here, now move it, okay, now stay here, now move it, and you would go through this process, like 2K games or whatever, they would put your freaking face in the game. So we've seen people do some things like this, and I'm saying we should already have our forearms and our hands. They should be in a game right now.
So yeah, I think that would be very interesting, and I think it's, like you said, it's probably possible. I think a couple of things jump to mind. First is, I mean, I don't have any scars, unfortunately, so nothing, really stands out. And so the first question I would have is, are people's,
But what about like your watch?
fingertips?
What about your watch and that other thing you got on? I mean, if that was there and it looked exactly.
Yeah, no, that would be cool, but it's a matter of, so it would definitely be like kind of the first step, I guess, towards this, more immersion and being in the game. But, and I have no programming background or anything as far as what it would take, but it seems like in order to get those images and those scans to be able to do everything that you would do in the game would require a lot of processing power, require a lot. So it's not just a simple, like when they do that
it would
image
just
of your
wrap
face.
it. I think it would just wrap it as a texture map. So basically they would have the arms there, and then it's just simply a matter of just wrapping this texture map on top of that. I don't think it would change much, but okay, wait. Man, I just thought of something, and now okay, never mind. Forget it. I forgot what I was just going to say. But I had another thought.
I mean, I think you're right. I think that's the kind of stuff we'll start to see. We'll start to see where you can put your hands and your arms.
Oh, okay, wait. Like I remembered what I had. Okay, so when they're doing inverse kinematics, right? Where they try to do your whole body. Right. Have you ever played any game like Zero Caliber or something where they actually give you an entire body and you like see your belly out there and you're like walking around and you're like this big
it doesn't
thing
track
like this.
Exactly, but yeah.
Okay, well, my theory though is like, couldn't they make a game where like you take your measurements, like they say, okay, measure, I don't know, whatever this bone is right here in your wrist, like that wrist bone right there to your elbow, you measure that exact distance, you enter that exact distance in millimeters into a little thing, so they know exactly how long your arm, and then you measure from your elbow to your shoulder blade. Okay, so you would do a couple of these different measurements. You would type it in, and then they would use that. They would know where your wrist is. They know where your head is. So if they could extrapolate like exactly how long it is to your elbow, and then also you could take your motion controllers and it would say, okay, now touch your shoulder blade, touch your elbow, and so I'm thinking there's little things that we could do. You're probably going to say, is it worth it to go through all of this just to have your inverse kinematics look slightly better? And you're probably right, but I'm just saying I think there's little things that we can do that people aren't even trying.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And what you're describing is almost exactly what you do with Richie's Plank experience. You literally take your controller and you line it up at the front of the piece of wood you have and the end of the piece of the wood you have, and put these little flags there. And so it's the same idea. It measures basically what you have in the real world. So I definitely think that is feasible. I don't know. I think right now the industry, the way it's going, and with the headsets we have and the technology that's coming out, I think there should be more focus on, AAA titles and games that will draw people in, whether it's, like when they put that Matrix thing on upload, my brain immediately starts to go to, can you imagine a really good Matrix game in VR? Or
There's never been a good Matrix game,
I
period,
know. Well, the
though.
PS2 had a good Matrix game, Enter the Matrix or something. I love that game. I still have it actually, but yeah, and things like you mentioned that the first game you were talking about, how it's kind of like Harry Potter. Well, I know there's the Harry Potter, whatever it's called, Wizarding World Go thing on your phone, but if they can get a game like that where it's a full Harry Potter experience, you'll get people that never even considered VR but are the biggest Harry Potter fans, that people that totally geek out over Harry Potter, and they'll consider buying a VR headset, and that game would sell like crazy. So I think all this immersion stuff, I think is stuff that like you and I and real enthusiasts would love. But I think the way the industry is going now, it's heading a great direction. But I think there's a chance that if things don't continue the direction they're going, we might end up with a lull again, or might people might start backing out of.
So are you kind of talking right now about basically the $64 million question, kind of like what is it going to take for VR to get over that hump? Is that kind of like you're saying we really need the AAA game? Like remember the other day I was like, oh, I did we did the quiz thing for Space Ops VR, and I did have a couple. I don't know if you saw that show, but I had some questions that were maybe slightly arbitrary. One of them was, what is the one single game that would change the VR gaming industry overnight? And I thought that was just a no-brainer, like Grand Theft Auto 5, like period. Like that's the game. Like, and a lot of people did say that, in chat.
Yeah, I mean a game like that, or I mean you got Boneworks, playing now. A game like this, but with a brand behind it. Like, I mean, Vader Immortal, I'm sure got a ton of Star Wars fans to get the Quest. I mean, a game like that, people that maybe were on the fence. That not to say that somebody would walk off the street and say, I want to play that $10 game, but people that maybe were teetering and waiting for that really good Star Wars game. I think that kind of stuff really helps the industry. And I think,
Steve, check this out. So the trailer right now is Lone Echo 2, right? And if we go back, when Robo Recall came out, do you remember when Robo Recall first came out for Oculus, and people are like, okay, this is kind of a killer app now. Robo Recall is kind of a killer. I mean, for a very brief window, some people are saying this is the killer app now. Then when Lone Echo came out, people are like, okay, this is the killer app now. Then when Fallout 4 VR finally came out, this is the killer. Like, we've kind of been there already. I mean, I don't know. Like, Go ahead.
On those titles, though, you say people are saying this is the killer app. I think the people that are saying that were already VR enthusiasts. I'm thinking more along the lines of flat gamers that play Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto or games like that, and don't want to make that transition because they look at VR and say, everything I've tried has been these little tiny experiences, or has been little tiny, at the Microsoft Store or at Best Buy, and it's these little vignettes of things that you do, and it's not a real game. I think if we're able to get a game like Skyrim is a good example. I mean, that is a real popular game, and I think a lot of people transitioned because of that game. But the way the industry is going, and the amount of different types of headsets we have, from the Quest to the Index and everything in between, and all the ones that are coming out, I really think we need to take, a game like Boneworks is going to be great for VR, but somebody that's not already in VR is going to say, well, what's Boneworks? Who makes that game? That's not a known name. But if you get a Ready Player One game that's
what's the game? What's the game that you think would change it all?
I think something with a big name behind it, like a Harry Potter type game. I mean, Star Wars has got a lot of stuff going on right now, so I don't know if that's the right way to go. But Call of Duty. I mean, there's so many people.
Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar. I mean,
no, there's a new Avatar movie coming,
there's
right?
There's 5 new Avatar movies coming out. And you look at like Disney World, they made the Avatar land, and the waits are still like 6 hours for one ride. So
really?
Yeah, my brother works in Disney, and it's insane, I mean, and then Universal, they just came out with a brand new Harry Potter Hagrid's motorcycle roller coaster or whatever, and at the height of it, It was a 600-minute wait.
Lefty
So at 10,
007 says fighting vipers. That's what we need.
oh God,
But
let's
we're
not go down
not
that
there. We're
road.
not there yet. Like that.
Uh,
That will do it for us. Yeah. When when the visuals are that good. What
right.
what about that? Okay. Do you think even if, like, imagine this. Okay. So here's my question for you. Let's say it has nothing to do with any game or anything, but just from a technological standpoint, where would the technology have to be? Where if you got like a good buddy of yours or somebody that just, they may have tried VR already and they're like, oh, this is kind of cool, but they've never talked about it again. They don't say anything about it again. It's like kind of went out of their mind. They're not even thinking about it. So obviously it didn't make that much of an impact because they don't even think about it anymore. What is it? Is there something from a technological standpoint where if you had them try it, it would have been a different story and they would have tried it and they would have been, oh my God, I didn't know this was, oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, where do I buy it? What do I go? What do I do? Here's my credit card. Where do I go? Like, what is that going to take?
So, I mean, I think people that have never tried VR and that play, especially that play flat games, PS4 or Xbox, I think a lot of them expect to put the headset on and see the same thing that they see on a flat screen. And when they don't see that, rather than realize the experience that they're getting by being inside of something, they just say, oh, this looks, pixelated, or, there's a glare or whatever, all the different technical issues that everybody nitpicks over. I think, when you look at, Black Mirror and that episode, I think eventually we'll get there. And I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was
in your lifetime, do you think?
Oh yeah, I think we'll get. I was just looking. I couldn't think of the name, and that's why I was googling it. But so Elon Musk, obviously, hopefully everybody knows who that is, and he has SpaceX. He's got the Boring Company. He's got Tesla, but he also has a company called Neuralink, and it's a newer company. It's a smaller company, and he's the CEO of that company. And that company's entire focus is getting your brain basically connected to a computer.
You think that's going to happen in your lifetime? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
I didn't until you if you Google it, or if you look up Neuralink and you look at what they're doing already and what the advancements they've already made, I really think it is. I mean, I don't know where. I think it was the Boston Museum of Science, and one of my kids a couple years ago.
Maybe if you lived to like 120, maybe.
I'm definitely not living that long. But there was this experience at the Boston Museum of Science where you just put a regular headband that had two little sensors, and basically you had to focus or concentrate on a color, and it made like something move on a screen because it read your brain waves. So that kind of stuff, exists on a very basic level. And what they're looking to do at Neuralink is literally be able to link your brain to a computer. And the things that they're trying and doing and things they've already succeeded with already, with very little, funding and backing and time, I definitely think we're going to get there. Now, I don't know if it's going to be this little thing you stick on your temple, and fighting vipers.
But you know what? Okay, so you're talking about like going right into our brains and all that. But like, even if all we did was our eyes and our ears, okay? So those, we think about vision and hearing, right? Of all the senses that we have, like, those are two big ass senses right there.
And that's what VR is right now.
Yeah, vision and hearing. But what I'm saying is, we got to get to the point where the vision and hearing would be indistinguishable from real life. Okay? Yeah. And when do you think that could happen? Well, so I'm just talking pure just audio and visual. That's it. I'm not talking about input devices.
Yeah.
But visual, I guess one thing that you'd have to add on to that is you look down, you'd have to see your body. So, they got to get your body perfectly in there too.
I think that is just a matter of sensors. I mean, the full body scan, that's, I think, again, a matter of time. But to answer your question, I mean, when you try the Index, I know yours is coming very soon. The audio on the Index, being that it's available now and it's out today, is absolutely incredible. I mean, I would say if it's not the top thing that I'm most impressed with the Index, it's up there, very close with the field of view. But
hey, check this out. Wait, Lefty in chat says probably within the next 50 years. Too bad we're gonna have a nuclear war before that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, that's an optimistic look at it. Thanks, Lefty. Yeah. But so audio wise, I think we're very close. And when you try the Index, I think you'll say, wow, that's we're almost there, if not already there. As
From
far as
audio,
visual,
for an audio.
yeah, from an audio aspect. Now, as far as visual, I was just reading something, and Apple uses the term retinal display. Once you get to a certain resolution, I don't know exactly what it is, but once you get to a certain resolution, your eye can't distinguish anything beyond that. And we're not that far. Maybe we're a little over halfway or close to halfway there, which, is not that far from hitting that point where no matter what the resolution is, once you hit a certain number, you're not going to know. You can go as high as you want.
Diminishing returns after that.
Exactly. So I think we're not too
but
far
refresh rate, though. Refresh rate. Because I heard Reality's refresh rate is like 1,000 hertz or more. Like if you were to... something like that.
So I mean, if you look at where we're basically at 144 now with the index, and it's still technically beta. Excuse me. So it's not necessarily mainstream yet, but going from 144 to the whatever the next steps happen to be, it's going to be an exponential curve where it's going to happen quicker than it took to get to this point. So I think refresh rate is gonna be will happen before the retinal displays where we can't tell the difference. And then, I think yesterday you mentioned something about, we were kind of poking fun at Samsung, but, the curved OLED screens, I think that is probably going to be the next step. I don't know if Samsung's going to do it this year or what, but, I've got the S10 Plus, that's got the curved edges, and they do a lot of stuff with curved screens. They had the Galaxy Fold, which I know was a flop because it didn't work great, but if it was a static folded screen that was staying in one place, I think that could work. And I think that is probably going to be the next thing where your entire vision is going to be the image. Refresh rate's going to get there, I think, sooner rather than later, and then the resolution is the last piece of the puzzle. So I think those two pieces of the puzzle are going to be probably, who knows exact time, but I would say, not too distant future as far as seeing those two things.
Okay, let me go ahead and cover what some folks are talking about in chat. So Elevidity a while back says it's got to be 8K, and I think he's talking about 8K per eye.
Okay.
Phil Yarn was talking about Madden, that Madden might be a game if that was done in VR that could be incredible. Yeah. I mean, for a certain, like for me, if they really could do Madden the right way, that would be incredible. I just don't think it'll happen. Yeah. Girillo says, this topic is exactly why I respect what Valve and HTC is doing more than Oculus. It's not price or games. It's still innovation we need. Yeah, I mean, right. And like Gaben, if you go back to... Remember what Gaben says? He's like, the race to like make things affordable is the biggest enemy you got. Because he's like, right now what we really need to do is figure out what the bare minimum of... Don't even worry about like making it cheaper. Like, let's figure out what the bare minimum is of VR and then worry about lowering the price later. Like Gaben has talked about that before.
Yeah.
A couple other things.
With that.
Yeah, Girillo says 20 years. I think we were talking about, like, when is it going to be indistinguishable, like, in terms of sight and sound. Floydian777 says, LOL, I hate getting older and waiting for tech to catch up. Yeah, I mean, everybody, it's funny, though, because I'll be listening to all these different news shows, and they're like, well, technology is advancing exponentially in so many different areas, and all the areas are combining, and AI, and da-da-da. And it sounds like, dude, in 10 years, there should be flying cars everywhere. I should be teleporting to Mars. I don't think this is going to happen this quickly, though. But it's funny how people get into that. Let's see. Elevidity says 60 pixels per degree and 600 hertz refresh rate. Lefty007 says 8K at 240 hertz, and we're going to be questioning which side of the HMD is the real world. Actually, that's an interesting question. Do you think eventually, though, when we do get to the point where you put a headset on your mom or your cousin or somebody that doesn't know about VR, but you put it on their head and they're like, oh my God, like where it would be absolutely indistinguishable, like they're looking at something and it's the same thing and they're like, oh my God, like this looks exactly the same, like complete photorealism, right? Do you think when we get to that day, will people start actually wondering about this reality and actually, like, will people start questioning this reality a little bit more?
People already do. I mean, Elon Musk is again, not to keep
but
going
it's
back
very
to him,
niche.
but...
It's very niche. It's a tiny number of people. But do you think it'll get way more wide stream? I mean,
I, I
mainstream.
don't know. I mean, I think you have to have a very particular type
Open
of.
type of mind to even
Yeah,
go.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not, you know, I think Elon's a great, an innovative guy and a genius, but
But what
like,
about like 100 years from now, though? Like
yeah,
when our
no,
bodies are like completely in VR and you're walking around in VR and it's
I don't
freaking
think it's gonna
photo
be that
real.
long, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean it's not even going to be that. But what I'm saying
no,
is when they get to that, basically the Fighting Vipers day, like
yeah.
where it's that freaking real. Like, don't you think people are going to be like, what are the chances reality is real? You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, people. I think even on your show, somebody mentioned, having dreams about. I don't know if it was Lone Echo or some game that they played, but in their dream they thought that whatever they were doing was actually real, not a game they played. So there's, starting to blur the lines there, and I think what will happen before people starting to question their own reality is people may start having that type of situation, like did I do that in real life, or was that in VR? Or, and also, if it gets to the point where it's super comfortable and lasts, no battery issues or whatever, and no wires, you may forget, holy crap, am I in VR? Or, oh yeah, I am in VR, I'm not. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
kind
when
of
it's
stuff will
that
happen.
lightweight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
as far as experiences too, like you could look at, like, Google VR Wander or any of those types of experiences, and granted those are static images, but those are photorealistic, and you're basically, with some of those, with the sounds and the, spatial audio, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower or whatever it is, you do kind of feel like you're there. I mean, that's not a game, it's not really interactive, but if you close your eyes and put that on, even with the Oculus Go, I mean, you kind of feel like you're there, and that's the whole point. It gets you, to places that you normally couldn't be. Roller coasters and mountain climbing and, scuba diving, all these things that, some people can't do, including myself. I have some, back issues, and now I can kind of do these things and live vicariously through VR and ride roller coasters that I would have loved to have done, and I used to be a huge roller coaster guy. Now I can't do that, but I can in VR. And yeah, it's not the same maybe, but it's fun. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I used to scuba dive, and now this, it's like free diver. I mean, I never did free diving, but free diver kind of, is almost like an emotional experience, because it's something that I know, I physically can't do, but I can in a sense. So yeah.
I'm laughing because Kite Flyer 2020 in chat says only in states with legal weed will people question which reality is real. And
That's going
then
to be happening sooner than you think too.
yeah.
But
And Rudel Zavedno has entered the building, and Rudel Zavedno is in chat on Twitch, and he says, "We're running out of time. Civilization collapse by mid of the century. Mad Max for real." We got a couple of pessimists that are
a
like,
little bit,
yeah,
yeah.
couple of pessimists in
You're
here.
wearing off on them, Anthony. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why you should enjoy, not to get off topic, but, and I know you mention it all the time, enjoy the experiences with in life, obviously, but in the headsets you have. Don't look for the God rays. Don't look for the glare. Don't look for the screen door effect. Just put the damn thing on and have fun. And don't say, well, should I get, and money's a different subject, but don't say, well, should I get, the index, or should I get, the reverb, or should I wait? What's coming next? Well, yeah, you can wait forever for the next product, but there's some great stuff out there right now. And if you keep waiting, you're never going to get there.
Do you think, like, if you're going to be a fan, like if you're going to be in this industry, I mean, if you're going to be an enthusiast, a VR enthusiast, you kind of just have to realize you're going to buy a new headset probably every year, you
Yeah,
know?
it
And
really, you're renting it. I know somebody
yeah,
mentioned, I think it was yesterday, right? Somebody
yeah.
mentioned it's almost like a rental thing. And thank God for things like eBay and Facebook Marketplace and stuff. There's gonna be a market, because people that are not enthusiasts but are starting to see what's out there may want to get into it, and not want to, make the large investment, and then you sell your index for maybe half of what you paid for it, and you get the next best thing. And if you really enjoy VR, and you have a budget for it, then you're good.
Slayblaze says the metaphysical minute is dead ahead. No, we pretty much went through the reality minute a couple of minutes ago, so we're pretty much done
Neuralink,
with
look
that.
it up, I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
yeah, neural nets and all that crap, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what was I going to talk about now? I had something I was going to ask you about. Damn it! I always like somebody in chat throws me off. Okay.
It's easy to lose your train of thought when you're doing these shows. I know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had something. I need to like probably just take a little note. There's different things I wanted to go into next. Oh, okay. Wait. No, it was not that. Well, I was saying that it is a situation where. Oh, okay. I know what I was going to say. I know what I was going to say now. Okay. Do you think there's some people out there though? There's got to be this person where they're thinking, I'm going to buy a headset, I'm going to buy a computer, and this should hold me down for 3 years. There's probably someone out there, right? They built a nice computer, they spent maybe $1,400 or whatever building the best tower they could, $1,500, whatever. They built the best tower they could, and they got a Valve Index package, and it was $1,000 for the Valve Index package, and they spent like $1,500 on. So they're damn near $3,000 in by the time every little crap, every little thing they had to get right, almost $3,000, and they're thinking this is gonna hold me over for like 3 years. But I don't think it's really going to hold them over for 3 years. But there's probably some people that are kind of thinking that.
Well, I mean, so the thing with that is it could hold them over for 3 years. It depends on what they want. So, the original Oculus Rift is still a fantastic headset, and some people still prefer it over the Rift S, for different reasons. And as far as the computer's concerned, thankfully, all of the manufacturers of the headsets have really kind of kept that entry level fairly low and fairly obtainable. So yeah, you're not going to be able to get the 144 refresh rate and max everything out, but you can get a computer like you just described and a headset like the Index, and it could last you for 3 years. You won't be playing the cutting edge stuff, and you won't be playing things on max settings, but you will be playing virtual reality and having a good time.
Yeah. And the other thing too though is like somebody could buy the computer and then they just have to get additional headsets later on.
Yeah, and I mean the nice thing about computers, you have to have a little bit of know-how, but you can upgrade things piecemeal. You can get a new video card, you can add more RAM, you can do different things. Even if you're not tech savvy, you can bring it to Best Buy or whatever and get things upgraded. So
do you
don't
think
have to trash your computer.
Going back to the Valve Index, do you think there's a chance that the Valve Index was supposed to come out last year, but they didn't get it out in time? Because one of the things I'm kind of thinking about with the Valve Index is like there was a time and a date when the Valve Index could have came out and it would have seemed really next gen. But see, some stuff have already happened this year. Like we got the Rift S, and that was kind of interesting with the whole inside out thing and the path, and reverb, and a lot of little things have happened. Where had the Valve Index come out last November, it really would, because some people are like, man, it's $1,000 for the Valve Index, and it's just like these really minor upgrades. Like this isn't VR 2.0. This is just some minor nice improvements here or there. But maybe it came out last November before all these other things have come down the pipe, before we've had our Oculus Quest and we're popping into pass-through mode, and there's all these like cool little bells and whistles going on in VR now. It might have seemed a little more next gen.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made a huge difference. I mean, I think that's probably true with just about any piece of technology out there. Is if it came out a little sooner, it would be groundbreaking. But I almost feel like, as far as to answer your question, I don't think they pushed it off. I think they actually rushed it to get it out when they did, and that's why you run into little things like the controller issue and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think. It was possible to come out when it did, and I think most companies have done a pretty good job of keeping their secrets, and you get little leaks here and there. But I think if this had been in the works for as long as it has been, I know we got little things, we got images and leaks and we got pictures of certain things, but nothing close to the finished product. And I think other companies are innovating at the same speed in some situations, and it's inevitable you're going to get people to launch things that are similar. Same thing with phones. You get, the iPhone comes out and Samsung comes out with a phone, and they're very close. If one came out a year before, it would have been, groundbreaking, but they're all kind of growing at the same speed.
But timing is a thing where, like,
It's
just a
huge.
couple of
Yeah.
months difference, it seems more next gen, before some of these other
Yeah.
things hit.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna bounce over to this website real quick. This is
Yeah.
Engadget. Did you see
RTX
this
Super.
today? Yeah, about
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
different super cards. And I
Yeah.
was looking at them. I was looking at the prices, and I was looking at like the CUDA cores and all the blah blah blahs and the megahertzes and the terafloppies.
Oh yeah.
And ultimately, the only thing that really kind of I was kind of surprised by is they were saying that like the RTX 2070 Super or something is
It's
like
similar to the
better.
2080 Ti. Yeah,
No,
I saw
better
that.
than a 1080 Ti, and I'm like,
1080 Ti.
really,
Yeah. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
See right here, Nvidia claims the RTX 2070 Super is 16% faster than the regular 27, putting it above the GTX 1080 Ti and mighty close to the original RTX 2080. Really?
If you go to
Really?
the NVIDIA site, there's actually a chart, and it shows you which cards are equivalent to the other cards, but it's not a like for like. There's
Yeah.
different, like you gain some things but lose other things. So I'm not super savvy in all these different terms, but yeah, if anybody goes to the NVIDIA site, you can see this chart that breaks it down to what the supers are equivalent to the non-supers and all that.
I mean, if you were somebody new that was coming in, if you're buying a video card now, it's not a bad deal actually. Looking at $500 for the RTX 2070 Super, even if it's not quite as good as a 1080 Ti, you are getting the virtual link and like the ability to do like ray tracing and some of that other stuff, right?
Next gen
So
shading, yeah, there's
yeah.
concurrent processing. I mean, there's all kinds of terms that you wouldn't normally hear.
Yeah, so they're saying that all these cards are coming out because of the AMD cards that are coming up. Now, those AMD cards, like I haven't really paid, like I'm not really into the whole video. I know there's people that just love this stuff, man,
Yeah.
and they live for the rumors of this stuff, and this is all they can think about is like when these new cards are coming out. But I don't really get too into it. But like AMD, I mean, do you know anything about those AMD cards? Or like, are
Yeah,
they really
I
going to legitimately compete with any of these cards in any way?
they've always. I mean, to answer your question, I don't follow it as that close either. But it seems like AMD is always chasing Nvidia, and it always seems like they're talking about, our next card is going to blow them out of the water, and I just haven't seen that. So until the proof is in the pudding or whatever. I mean, until they actually do it, and you can see, hard evidence that AMD is on a same level as Nvidia. Now I'm sure there's people in chat and people out there that are diehard AMD fans and diehard Nvidia fans, but it just seems like Nvidia's got the edge right now anyway.
Well, it's been a lot. See, I'm not solidly in either camp. Like I don't care. Like if somebody were to like come up with a new card and it just killed everything, I'm cool. I could hop to any side of the coin here.
Yeah.
But the thing about it though is like I'm wondering when was the last time that AMD had a card that was clearly the better buy at any of those pricing tiers. And I know it's happened within maybe like the last 6 or 7 years, but it's been a while, man.
Yeah.
Because Nvidia has really ran away with it for a long time. Because there was occasional AMD cards here or there where for the money and for the performance it was a better buy. And they're saying that the 7950, the AMD 7950, maybe that was the last AMD card that really kind of was a decent competitor in there. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. We need, because the prices are out of control, man. Like
That's yeah.
someone in chat just said they just got their 20. Oh, Girillo. Oh, no, wait. Oh, Sponge720 says my 2080 Ti just came today. Very happy. Girillo says he's
Sweet card.
waiting. Yeah, really sweet card. Girillo says he's waiting for the 2080 Ti Super Turbo, which that hasn't been announced yet, but it could come.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it goes back to what we were talking about with the headsets. I mean, you can wait forever. You just really got to find what's best for you for your current situation and what you can afford, and just go with what you got. But there's always going to, especially when it comes to technology, and there's going to always be something better around the corner, no matter what you do. So It's
Yeah.
frustrating, but again, if you're okay with it, you can always sell it for a little less and get yourself a new one. But yeah, it's going to be a constant, no matter
Do
what
you
it
ever
is.
remember the old 3DFX era on the PC gaming? It was like when they first had those add-on cards, the
I don't
3DFX cards.
know. I don't remember
Because
that.
back when that happened, I was buying new. I would buy a new graphics card like every 4 months, like no joke. And that
Yeah,
I was like that crazy mofo that like some of these people still are, and they're like getting new CPUs and new motherboards like
that's the
every
thing
five or
too. Yeah,
six months.
you
Yeah.
can't just go with the graphics card. You have to get a new CPU. You have to throw more RAM in there if you don't have enough, and it's a complete package, and you can't over improve one thing without keeping up with the other stuff too. So it's a
Okay.
constant battle, but part of our existence.
Yeah. Okay. So I know it's really late right now, Steve, and you probably are going to want to get to bed pretty soon here. But maybe just before you bounce out of here, you could kind of just give us a quick little. I mean, you've been playing Valve Index, right, for a couple of days now, or how long have you
Yeah.
been playing it?
Yeah, so I unfortunately my dog, we had to take him to emergency vet. He's fine, but it took a big chunk of my weekend, so I didn't play as much as I'd like. But yeah, I would say I've got probably 4 or 5 hours in there, which again is not what I was hoping, but it's just I don't want to be the opposite of everyone else and be like totally super positive, because yeah, it's not perfect, but I expected a headset that was better than what I had, and that's what I got. The sound is incredible. The microphone on it is amazing. The field of view is incredible. Almost more so the horizontal or the vertical field of view. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something I wasn't really expecting. The index controllers are fantastic. I know that's got that stupid joystick clicking issue, and I would never have known that issue existed if it hadn't been publicized, because I'm one of those people that I hate having to push down on the clicks, on the analog sticks. It's just not comfortable for me, so I usually remap that anyway. Yeah, I mean, maybe there'll be a recall or a return or whatever, but using it right now for the time that I've used it, it's by far the best headset I've used. It's not perfect, but I'm having a blast with it, and that's what I
So the
expected. That's what
the
I got.
index controllers, you're already feeling good about those, because a lot of that seems to be the one sticky point, for some of the people out there. Like I know
Hmm.
John Shrewbrook, I believe, in our Discord and stuff. I don't think like he just has not come to grips, literally, I guess, with
Yeah,
those index controllers. Like, and other
it's
people have said it as well. I think they're just so different too, though.
that's the thing. They're so different from what you're used to, and I got chubby hands or whatever. So when you put that thing on the back and you tighten it down, it almost like squeezes your skin a little bit. But you have to back it off a little. In my second video on my channel, I said, what the heck are the wrist straps for when it's already attached to your hand? But somebody else had mentioned, don't make them too tight, and that's the key. You can't make them too tight. You want to use the wrist strap in case it does happen to slide off. Now, I haven't had them slide off at all yet. I may have them a little bit too tight still. But yeah, when I first put them on, I was like, this is kind of pinching my skin. As soon as I started playing a game, though, you just forget about it. At least I did. If you focus, whatever you focus on, you're gonna see, whether it's God rays or screen door or whatever it is. But if you just let yourself go and enjoy the experience you're playing, realize you've got finger tracking, you've got something you didn't have before, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Which video card are you using with that?
I have a 2080,
Oh,
so
you do. Okay,
yeah,
standard 2080.
standard
Yeah.
2080. Yep, but I
And are
have
those considered to be like a little bit better than like a 1080 Ti or?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's people in chat I'm sure going to go both ways, but with the 2080 has some features that the 1080 Ti doesn't have, as far as what it's capable of, some ray tracing, things like that. When it comes to VR, I think it's very similar. I think it's a little bit more powerful. I think it gives you a little bit better experience overall. I couldn't go into too much technical detail,
So
but
pretty damn close, basically.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when you even the prices, I don't think too much different. But the fact that it had a few extra features and it's a newer card, I went that direction. But I got an
Have
i9
you?
9900.
Yeah.
Got it all. I got it all decked out basically for VR. So
Okay. Have you tried like what have you in your brief time with the Valve Index, because the situation that happened with your dog and all that. Apologies
yeah,
about that. But
yeah, he's fine. Yeah.
In your brief time with it, have you screwed around with like 144, 120, any of that stuff to try to like
I
to
haven't
test
yet.
that at all?
So
Or
that's the rest of this week, barring any other crazy issues. That's my goal, is to really kind of, like, again, when I first got it, my main focus was get the stuff set up, get the lighthouses, over this side, up where they need to be, and everything, good,
Did you
and
drill
just
them
enjoy
in?
it. I did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the cord, I'm lucky with this one because the cord goes into my closet and then plugs in down behind, so you can't see the wire. But yeah, my goal was, because I saw, all the early reviews and all the different things people are saying. My goal was to put it on and just have a good time, and that's what I did. I didn't go nuts. I didn't look for things. I'm not that kind of guy where I'm trying to find the issues or find. I just put it on and enjoyed myself for the brief time that I had it. And now this week, going forward, I know it's already Wednesday tomorrow, but gonna start experimenting a little bit more. Not looking for problems, because I know if I look for them, I'll find them. But experimenting with 144, trying some different games. Some things that are a little pushing the limits a little bit. But yeah, I mean, my whole thing with VR is just to have a good time with it, and you can always find problems, but it's just try to have fun.
How was the comfort like of the?
It's really good. The only thing that bothered me a little bit is it's really hard to get on and off with these glasses. So these, I mean, they're not huge glasses, but they're, I guess, maybe a little wider than I don't know, they could be. But I don't
do
need
you
to wear
have
my
your
glasses.
do you have the screens like all the way rolled out, or as
Well,
far
so
out as?
I tried to put it on a couple times with my glasses, and I said, screw it. I just took my glasses off. I can see okay without my glasses. Just after a while, I get a headache or whatever. So I have contacts too, and I think I haven't worn contacts in a long time, but probably gonna go back to that just because it's easier. But yeah, these particular glasses didn't fit great, so I just took them off and just played without them, and it was super comfortable. I was able to go all the way in. The field of view is insane in my opinion. It doesn't touch my eyelashes. Like, I guess, I lucked out in a couple of things. So yeah, it's super comfortable. It doesn't feel heavy. I know it's heavier than other headsets, but you don't notice it when you're playing it. The sound is incredible, especially with the heat. With Connecticut, get some hot days, and not having anything on your ear is, again, one more thing that makes it even better. So just not sweating.
So you had a CV1, but you switched it for the Rift S?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And so are you planning on just you're going to keep that, like you're going to hold, or is there, could you maybe consider that, like if Revive works really good with the Valve Index controllers, could you ever see yourself like selling that thing off, or do you think you'll just keep it around? Or
I'd probably keep it. I mean, the fact that it was only $400, yeah, and I say only, I mean, obviously that's still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, selling it, I don't, think you'd make as much as, you'd hope for with the Rift S, because they are available, and, there's not a huge demand for them. So I think I'd keep it just for the ease of being able to jump into Oculus games and have a good time with that. So I don't know. I tend to keep most things, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to, not necessarily have to sell one thing to get the next at this point, and that time may end at some point. But I mean, I still have my original Nintendo, and all the way up the line, I've got every system basically known to man, and I'm not one to usually sell old stuff again, unless I really need to or whatever. So.
Yeah, there's kind of like two different types of people. There's people that will sell everything, that like they'll always sell, and then there's other people, they have all their original stuff, and maybe maybe many years later they'll like finally donate it or sell it or something.
Yeah,
but they
I mean,
usually keep everything.
It's fun because like even now, like my daughters will jump into like the original Mario on my original Nintendo that I played when I was their age, and it still works great.
You literally have your original Nintendo?
Wow. I literally have my original NES. The only thing I did have to do is replace the pin connector in there, and I did that, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and it still works perfect. So, and I have everything up the line. I mean, pretty much every system except Neo Geo, 3DO I still have. So I mean, I got them all.
3DO, man.
I love that.
Did you have a 3DO back in the days?
I did, yeah.
Dude, I had a 3DO in 1994. I had a 3DO that whole year, and it was one of the most glorious years ever, man. Dude, the 3DO is so freaking underrated.
I know.
We could do a special off-topic show all about the 3DO. No, I'm serious. I love the 3DO, man.
Retro gaming, like every once in a while, I mean, I'll just pop on the TurboGrafx 16, or I'll throw in my
I
my
love
Genesis.
TurboGrafx.
Yeah, I mean, I just and it's just fun. I mean, I know there's all the new whatever you call them, classic systems that you can get, and those are cool too. I have a couple of those or whatever, but there's
But dude,
nothing
the
like.
3DO doesn't get anywhere near like the credit that it
No, it
deserves.
didn't
Like,
last very
because
long. It had a lot of
nobody, yeah,
competition. That's the
and
problem.
nobody bought it. Like
Right. It was
so few
pricey.
people bought it, and then by the time it even ever became affordable, like PlayStation was there, and so nobody
Yeah.
touched it, right? But I'm telling you, those of us that had it in 1994 and we were playing like Escape from Monster Manor, and we
Oh
were
God,
playing
yeah. You don't know
Slayer
Jack,
and
and I think
Road
that was on
Rash,
there.
yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was so awesome. It was
Yeah.
because my friends were playing Super Nintendo games, and
Yeah.
I'm playing freaking Escape from Monster Manor, like this incredible Doom-looking game with
Yeah.
ghouls and ghosts and
It
shit.
was way ahead of its time, but it didn't
Yeah.
have the backing and the name recognition, and it was pricey, and had enough stuff against it that it didn't thrive. But Neo Geo was the other one. That thing was crazy expensive. The cartridges were like the size of your head, and I didn't get that one. But yeah, I love retro gaming. It's a lot of fun.
I just bring it up because you mentioned 3DO, and like most people don't know anything about the 3DO, so that's cool that you know.
Short-lived, loved it. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, it's very late night. I know it's late night for you. It's starting to actually get late night over here, but not really. But I know it's
Almost
late night for
tomorrow.
you. But thanks so much. I absolutely appreciate it, Steve. Again,
Thank
you. Apologies on the whole thing, with the system, but everything that
Tyler
ends
got
well.
it. So
yeah.
Tyler rendered
Okay.
reality. I shipped it today. He's happy, so it all worked out. No worries.
Yeah. What
I'm just
ends
glad I was able to
well?
help
What is the
somebody,
phrase?
so.
Something that ends well, blah blah blah, or something. I forget how it goes,
something
but
like
whatever
that. It's all
it is.
good.
Yeah, so that's cool. And I'm glad I was able to have you on a show. And you did a great
Appreciate
job,
it.
man. Great guest. I'll definitely have to bring you back because we didn't really go through like your entire the VR history of like early days on
I think
Oculus.
we're both good bullshitters, so
Yeah.
it works out pretty well. We can make a show out of nothing.
yeah, absolutely. So it worked really great. So awesome interview. Worked out awesome.
Sir.
So thanks so much, man. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll say goodbye to you and hang up on you, but I absolutely appreciate it. And, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Okay. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.